Hello and welcome. Kind of figuring some things out here. I had to log in on one side of things, and I want to make sure you guys were up to date on what's happening here. Weather Impact Meteorologist Gary Frank here with an update on what's happening here at 9:45. We're kind of keeping you posted about what's going on over the next few days. I let a few guys join, so hopefully you still kind of hung around here. I want to point out, obviously, today is the pick day of the week, right? Our number one thing is that it's quiet at the moment, and over the next several hours, our temperatures have already responded nicely. We're in the mid to upper 50s right now. Obviously, very warm conditions here at 9:45 on a Friday, and I cannot stress enough, this is the day you want to take advantage of and enjoy because of the fact that we're going to see things change so much over the next several hours. As more of you guys join, I'll talk about it for now, between now and the next 15 minutes before Show Me St. Louis starts, but I'll try to answer some of your questions in the comments, and hopefully as I go through this spiel, that kind of answers most of your questions. But the first and foremost thing, if you're watching this right now, I'm not expecting some winter storm like last time, but there are definitely some complications as we continue to forecast this, and I want to show you what's happening. The wind will pick up today, actually, with a higher fire danger for some of us as well. That's one of the things that we're going to note as temperatures work their way into the low 70s this afternoon. Very warm conditions here overall. But looking ahead at what's happening, what I want to point out is tomorrow we have this front that passes through, and you'll see this here over the next several hours. Let me put this on a full screen so you guys can see this, and I'll get out of the way. The key factor for me is the fact that we continue to see the opportunity for a few light showers around. I think that's going to be important, and I really think that what you'll notice over the next several hours is the fact that watch how this rain wants to kind of settle in. Look at those temps in the mid-60s around the city. That's important because we continue to look at temperatures that are in the upper 60s and low 70s to the south. That front passes through with clouds, a few light showers. Tomorrow is inconsequential, but actually maybe 2 or 3 degrees warmer than what I had yesterday. The big story will be, how does Sunday behave? It starts off colder, and this is where I can pull this back out for just a second and talk about how we start off, because we are going to start off dry. Sunday, first and foremost, you start off dry. These numbers are in the freezing point. That's okay, but watch what goes on the next several hours. And this is, I think, what's important as we freeze this and talk about what's going on. And you see temperatures still well above freezing. Look at 45 degrees, and I think Sunday's pretty warm. I think Monday's pretty warm. It's the period of when we see things fall into the overnight hours that I think is really important, because this latest run of Futurecast, what you'll notice, as I get out of the way in a second, notice most of us are above freezing, even spots like Jerseyville, Troy, Herman, where you're still looking at temps above freezing. As I pull this out just a little bit, what I want to point out is the fact that these numbers are still above freezing, even as I hit this one more time and scan through. Now notice by 7 o'clock, obviously, things are a little bit colder. That's important for us because as we continue to look at this colder air that settles into the area, we're still above freezing. Now, snow hitting the ground and pavement surface, that makes the pavement surface much colder, and that's where it could accumulate. So if that is the case, but you'll notice this in between where there's this mix and temperatures still remain above freezing. To me, that's the question. And I don't think that all of this is actually going to pour as snow, even though heavy, wet snow could accumulate and make the ground colder. And here's why. I want to pull up something different for you here that we can do, because we're talking about it on the stream. And a lot of you wonder why. Well, why do these things why are they so much more difficult to forecast sometimes? Let's pull this up right now, and I want to pull this up here, and I want to zoom in just a little bit. I'll use this one for example. Here's a look at one of the forecast soundings that we look at in forecasting many types of weather, but specifically winter weather in this case. And what you'll see is, let's say a parcel of air just right in my hand, right, as a parcel of air rises. And this is what we're looking at. You'll notice that this zero line, that is right at 32. Well, that's 0 degrees Celsius. So we're going to follow these lines up. That's the freezing mark, right? In general, anytime you lift a parcel of air, if you've flown, you've seen the mountains, it gets colder, this goes this direction, right? So that's the direction that we would expect it to go. Well, in this case, the thing that complicates the forecast sometimes, and also kind of lends in the thinking that we've kind of had over the last couple of days, is watch how you'll see this air get a little warmer, right? It gets at freezing or just above it and then gets colder. So what's going on is any moisture that falls is frozen, and then it warms up, it melts, and then it refreezes again, and then it melts again. And so I think there's enough warm air above the surface that from this particular model, that's where you see. We also have this on a different model where it is a little bit different. I'm going to play this one and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so I can kind of talk about the same thing to where you guys can see this a little bit better. And really what I think is going to happen here over the course of the next couple of days is, as we kind of zoom in, okay, so here's what happens with this one, right? Has a little bit different, more of a profile here, where you're seeing temperatures that are below freezing here. And this, to me, is the outlier where you're all on the cold side. That would produce more snow, and then the accumulating snow, we'd have to watch out for that. I don't see that being the case at this point. That's one of the reasons that we continue to monitor this pretty carefully. So that's why when I show you this area of a mix, you know, you'll look at temperatures, they never really get below freezing. Now, we can still have impacts without temps being below freezing, but I still think that these are the areas, Jerseyville, Litchfield, maybe Troy, northern Lincoln County, dealing with some of that. And even watch what Futurecast does in the overnight hours. It really brings warmer air in and more rain. And that tells me that there's warm air above the surface. And that's important for us here as we talk about some of the impacts that are going to be felt here all the way through the rest of Monday. So, to me, in conclusion, you look at this cold air, it never really gets down here. Look at how warm that air is to the south. And we never really get into this cold air Sunday night, overnight, and into the first part of Monday as well. And then it warms up. So to me, if you're looking for days off of school, we're not having that at this point. Now, model number 1, you'll see there's snow. That's the cold one I showed you. Look at model number 2. It's much further north. It's actually more rain now. That's the most recent model data, and I really think that we are going to see a mix of all three. But look at model number 3, it doesn't even have anything by 12 o'clock on Monday, right? So to me, this is what we have to watch out for, a wintry mix late Sunday into early Monday. And as I scan this in, you'll see that a lot of this is cold rain. Now there's that transitional period where we're going to see rain, maybe sleet, maybe freezing rain, maybe snow. It all may happen, but it may not impact us as much as it will to the north where you're seeing that wet snow that accumulates. Now this could change, but my hunch is a good majority of this is all just cold rain. This area mixes in with all those at certain times. Futurecast, though, to me, what really gets my attention is something to think about down the road after our first dose of that. There's a lot of rain. We're going to see it rain almost every single day. You'll see that as I focus on our weather impact alert here, and I'll get myself out of the way. You'll see that overnight, I only have it getting to 33 degrees at the moment. And to me, that's where we're really going to get our attention from that, because what's going on is the fact that we still remain on the mild side in terms of, you know, overnight temperatures. And so that's really important for us here ahead. So when we're looking at what's going on, that's the main story ahead in terms of impactful weather. I really think that a lot of this has to do with the fact that we're not going to see temps as cold as they could be overnight. It's something we continue to monitor. That's our weather impact alert into the overnight hours. If it changes, we'll let you know. Right now, the dominant force is rain, mixing in with flakes of snow. The further north you go, the more likely you are to run into cold air and heavy wet snow. We'll keep you posted if this changes on our 5 on Your Side app. I'm going to end this now as we come up with Show Me St. Louis coming up at 10, and we'll have updates more at noon and this afternoon.